Hello, scholars, and welcome to lesson 3.3, Angles and Transversals. So we're looking at more angle relationships. This time we have a transversal, which is just a line crossing two parallel lines. So go ahead and grab two highlighters from the basket. I'm going to go ahead and use purple and blue. I'm actually going to use 4 different colors for the corresponding, but it's okay that you only have 2. So corresponding angles, those are my 2 angles that are in corresponding positions, meaning if this angle is at the top left of this top intersection, it's in the top left of this bottom intersection. So that's one pair of corresponding angles. So grab your other highlighter, and then the top right of this intersection, think of it like almost like a street intersection, right? Top right of this intersection corresponds to top right of this bottom intersection. So those are corresponding angles. Then the bottom left corresponds to the bottom left down here. And then my bottom right corresponds to the bottom right down here. And so corresponding angles, those are always congruent or equal to each other. And now you really only need 2 colors for the rest of these. So for alternate exterior, those are going to be outside of the 2 parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So this angle and this angle, they're alternate exterior. Again, they're on the outside of the 2 parallel lines and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So this angle here and this angle here are also alternate exterior angles, and those are congruent to each other. Let's go back to purple. All right, so alternate interior would be on the inside of those 2 parallel lines, but opposite sides. So this one, and then this angle and this angle. Again, inside the 2 parallel, but on opposite sides of that transversal. Those are congruent to each other. All right, so same side interior, still on the inside, just like above, except they're on the same side of that transversal. So this angle and this angle, and this angle and this angle. And those, they're the only ones so far that are not congruent. These are actually supplementary, meaning they add to 180. And then we should remember what our vertical angles are. They're across from each other. So these 2 and these 2, those are congruent, of course. And these 2 and these 2, those are vertical. So they are equal to each other. And our last one, adjacent. Let me just clarify with adjacent. That means next to each other. So yes, they're forming a linear pair, but adjacent doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a linear pair. Adjacent could be any 2 angles that are next to each other. But in the problems that we're going to be seeing in this lesson, they are going to be forming a straight line. So they're going to be adding to 180. So like these are next to each other, and these are next to each other. So now let's use all of this information to start solving some problems. So for 1 through 6, we're just using this chart, so keep this handy, to identify our relationship. So X and Y, these are on the inside of the parallel lines and on opposite sides. So these are alternate interior angles. So for number 2, these are next to each other, so they are adjacent. For number 3, these are in corresponding positions, right? Top left and top left, so these are corresponding. And for number 4, these are on the same side on the inside, so same side interior. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you could do 5 and 6. All right, so 5, they are across from each other. They are vertical. And then Y and X, they are on the outside of those parallel lines and on opposite sides. So these are alternate exterior. All right, so let's scroll down to now actually seeing some problems with some numbers. So now we're going to use those relationships. We just have to know when they're equal and when they add to 180. Again, most of the time they're going to be equal, but if they're the same side interior or adjacent, they're going to be adding to 180. So looking at 7, these are corresponding angles because it's bottom right, bottom right. So because they're corresponding, they are congruent. So this one is 81 degrees as well. Number 8, this is, okay, they're both on the inside of the parallel lines and they're on the same side. So same side interior adds to 180. So they're not equal, they add to 180. I'm going to subtract 180 minus 101, and that gives me 79 degrees. All right, and then go ahead and, yep, go ahead and try 9 and 10. Pause the video, see if you can do those. All right, so number 9, these are alternate interior, which means they're congruent. So 103. And then these are alternate exterior, which means they are congruent. So this one is 75 degrees. All right, so again, it's very, very simple. You just have to know when it's equal, when to add to 180. And really, same side interior and adjacent, the only ones you got to add to 180. The rest are just going to be equal to each other. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, please come and ask me. All right, now we have our equations. We got 4 of them. So I'm going to do 9 and 10, and you're going to pause the video and try 11 and 12 on your own. So 9 is vertical. We actually have already seen this. So we're going to go ahead and say -2 plus 8x is equal to 7x plus 7. I'm going to draw my line, and I'm going to go ahead and cancel out 7x from both sides because I want to go with the smaller one. That's going to be easier for me. You can go ahead and cancel out 8x. We're just going to deal with more negatives, I think. But yeah, either way. So 8x minus 7x gives me just 1x. This cancels out, and I have 7. And now the opposite of -2 is +2. So x is equal to 9. And I'm done for number 9. And now for number 10, so this is the one, the exception. This is same side interior, so they're not equal to each other. They're going to add to 180. So 31x minus 1 plus 14x plus 1 is equal to 180. I'm going to combine like terms. So 31x plus 14x gives me 45x. And -1 plus 1 is 0, so those just kind of cancel out. So that equals 180. So like here, I'm going to show you, I combine these like terms, and then -1 plus 1 becomes 0, so that's why that went away. Now I'm going to draw my line, divide by 45. The opposite of times 45 is divide by 45, and that should give me 4. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and try 11 and 12 on your own. All right, so let's look at 11 and 12. 11, these angles are corresponding, so they are equal to each other. So 7x plus 12 is equal to 4 plus 8x. I'm going to start with a 7x, that's smaller. I'm going to cancel that out to give me 12 equals 4 plus x. Opposite of +4 is -4. So x is equal to, x is equal to 8. Let's make that a little bit neater. All right. And then for number 12, these are alternate interior, which are also congruent. So 12x plus 15 is equal to 13x plus 5. Like I said, most of the time they're going to be equal to each other. So I'm going to cancel out that 12x on both sides. I get 15 equals x plus 5. And I'm going to subtract 5 to get x equals 10. All right, scholars, so go ahead. You're going to try 3.3 practice. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye.